Good Erev Shabbos, the last Shabbos of the year. Parshas Nitzavim Vayelech. Next week, this time, it's going to be Rosh Hashanah. A rabbinic colleague of mine by the name of Ephraim Schwab once shared a thought that I'd like to share with you today. He points out in the name of Rabbi Leibele Eger, one of the Hasidic masters of a couple of centuries ago, that the parsha begins as it does. Atem netzavim hayom kulchem lifnei Hashem Elokeichem. You are standing today, all of you, before God your God. And the term today, hayom, Rashi explains could mean like Rosh Hashanah, but this Rabbi Leibele Eger is suggesting that hayom means every day. Every day we stand before God. Every day you stand before me in the presence of the Almighty. You can move around from place to place, from job to job, from friend to friend, from house to house. That's external travel. In truth, we're stationary because each of us, no matter where we are, stands lifnei Hashem, in front of God. That's the foundation of our faith, to realize that we're always standing in the presence of God. And there's a verse in Isaiah that says that even if a person tries to hide in the hidden places, in the most secret place, can one really avoid being in the presence of God? That's the beauty of Judaism, is that we understand and we need to realize that after all the kisetzes and the kisavois of the previous parshiot, all that movement expressed by when you come in and when you go out, in reality, atem nitzavim lifnei Hashem, you are standing here before God. You can run your whole life, be in constant motion, but in truth, as far as who you really are, we all stand in front of God every second of our lives. This idea is also hinted at the very beginning of the Shulchan Aruch, where the Rav Moshe Isserles writes that Shavisi Hashem lenegdi samid, that it's a very good thing to keep in mind as you wake up in the morning, that Shavisi, that I place God before me always. In other words, a person can do whatever they do, but wherever I'm doing it, and whatever it is I'm doing, I'm placing Hashem before me. You can't walk away from God. And we always read this specifically before Rosh Hashanah. Maybe to remind us especially that now we need to stop for a moment, and to reflect and to realize that since we're always in the presence of God, sometimes we can get so busy. Things getting ready for Yantiv, buying this, saying hello to them, sending a present over there, arranging over this, that we actually lose out on the holy period of preparation and the sanctity of the day. Especially in this year, when there's going to be so many other considerations as well about going to shul, if you're going to shul, and the COVID protocols and it's going to be, there's a lot on our plate, there's a lot to think about, and there's a lot to distract us from standing in front of Hashem, from that realization. In his book, No Hero, Mark Owen was a former Navy SEAL. He was the guy that wrote that account called No Easy Day about the Osama bin Laden mission. He talks about having to climb a sheer cliff face in the Nevada desert during some army training early in his career. And he finds himself stuck. I quote, "I was officially stuck. I couldn't go any higher. To be honest, I didn't want to. For the first time since I started to climb, I took my eyes off the rock and I started to look around. I was pretty high up. I could see the Las Vegas Strip and the desert stretching all the way to the horizon. I glanced down. I saw my friend Jeff, now a lot smaller. He looked like a gnome. Any chance I had of keeping my fear in control was slipping away rapidly, a lot like my hold on the rock. I wished I was somewhere else, and as I looked up into the crystal blue sky, I was nervous and could feel myself losing focus on where my handholds should be and where my footholds should be. All I could think about was that cold rock face, how high I was off the ground, and the instructor climbing up to me without a rope. I could also hear Jeff on the ground, my friend, yelling up to me. 'You need me to climb up there and save you?' he said in a sarcastic tone. I struggled to find a new handhold, but my fingers were tired. I'm about to slip and fall, I thought. To my left, I heard something scrape against the rocks. I'd been so focused on my situation, I'd forgotten all about our instructor. I'd catch him climbing around like Spider-Man as he waited for me to set the next thing. It made me nervous watching him because he didn't use any kind of rope. "Hey, man," he said in a lazy voice, "just stay in your 3-foot world." I was a couple of 100 feet up the rock. I could barely think. I couldn't figure out what he was talking about. "What are you talking about?" "Only focus on your 3-foot world," he said. "Focus on what you can affect. You keep looking around and none of that stuff can help you right now, can it?" I shook my head, "No. You're calculating how far you're going to fall. You're looking down at Jeff, but he's not going to come up and help you. Don't look at me. I'm not going to help you either. This is up to you. You're climbing this rock. Stay in your 3-foot world." Mark Owen finishes, "I'll never forget those words. Stay in your 3-foot world." Hashem gives us these Yomim Narayim to remind us to stop and to focus on what we can effect. During the rest of the year, we forget. On Rosh Hashanah, at least stop running and think, why are you in this world? What's your responsibility? What can you affect? Moshe Chaim Luzzatto writes in his introduction to Mesilas Yesharim that the fundamental principle of serving God is to clarify and to concretize in one's mind, what's my obligation in this world? What's my focus? What should I be working toward? Parshas Nitzavim reminds us not to get too bogged down by what we might have happened in the past, not to get too bogged down and distracted by looking too far ahead into the future. You want to succeed, both in life and in doing teshuvah, focus on your 3-foot world, on your own Daled Amos of today, of Hayom, to stop and realize simply that you stand in God's presence and consider, why are we in this world and what is our responsibility? Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova.